You feel under pressure, do you always walk around with your Beretta? Protecting yours at any cost, magazines ready to take another level. Yeah, let your flag fly in any weather, straight gang banging nigga on whatever. Hey, then tell me where you practice what you preach, chief. Please point these guns at these oppressors, time to stretch and work it out now. Work it out, work it out, hey, work it out, work it out.
How long you been producing?
Shoot, man, I've been producing. Actually, let me give a shout out to D-App, Ohio Sound Lab, formerly Broadway Sound Lab. He grabbed me back when I was, it's well over 10 years, man. We talking like 94, man. You know what I'm saying? And me and him did a lot of work together. He actually was the first person to look at me and put my beats out here in Cleveland in the street. You know what I'm saying? So I've been working with a lot of people for years, just banging in the city. You know what I'm saying? So I had to get a shout out to him. It's been about a good 10, 12 years. You know?
So exactly what was the track or the beat that you did that put you where you at right now on your way to the top of the game?
Well, a lot of people know me from More Fire, Lil Wayne, Carter 2 album. You know what I'm saying? That's what really got my notoriety. Wayne started talking and doing DVDs and on the radio and, talking a lot about me in the magazine. So that's kind of what gave me the name, you know?
And you are now tuned into another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, brought to you by M3S3 Clothing. Men make moves and suckers stand still. And today we have another legend in the building. Multi-platinum, Grammy nominated, work with everybody and they mama, Cleveland's own Yonni. How you doing, King?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
I'm
you. We
all
just
right,
can't see
man.
you, but we all right.
I'm blessed. I can't complain.
That's
I'm
what's up,
alive,
man.
and yeah, that's
How's
crazy.
your family?
Looking at my family is cool. My kids, well, my youngest just started school again, and so school is back in session. But he is a senior now, so this will be his last year of high school, which is crazy because this
Wow.
makes me feel like I'm old. But yeah, it's my other son. He goes to college and he works. He have a job and it's cool. No complaints with that. Other than me just realizing that I'm getting old and in a few years or so I'll be by myself.
Well, you know what, man? It's a beautiful. You will for a little bit, but then it comes full circle. Because I got grandkids, and then you had grandkids, man, and that's the gift that keeps on giving, right there, bro. Like it gets no better than the grandkids.
I'm not really ready for the grandkids yet, but I think it'll be cool. I think it definitely be cool.
So at what point did your kids realize that dad has a really dope freaking job?
I don't think I could fully speak for them, but I would say I do recall I would do a lot of events. I always did a lot of events, even in Cleveland and stuff like that. But coming out here, I feel like I did way more. It looks like I have man boobs right now. This is hilarious. It's so weird. I think it's the angle. Something is happening. That's crazy. But I remember doing one of my events out here, and I think some of the people who was helping organize it was trying to tell people to stay in a certain place. And they was telling my kids to, whatever they were conducting. And my oldest at the time, because one of my dudes came and told me, he was like, man, your kids is Hollywood. And I was like, what was going on? It was like, yeah, we didn't know it was them at first. It's like, yeah, you got to move. It's like, do you know who my dad is? That's what he basically said to him. Like,
Okay.
I don't have to do nothing because do you know who my dad is? And that's all he really said. But he was just kind of like, we do what we want to do, So at that point, I knew that, at least they put me at something, some kind of credibility in their head, I think over the years, too, some of their friends, may have been playing songs that that
Mm-hmm.
I've done or stuff like that, and they would just kind of, but in the way they would present that, they would just say, "Yeah, such and such." They was playing that song all day and roll their eyes, like kind of thing. But yeah, that event, that party, that time would have to, at least for them to say that, yeah, they definitely had to feel
That's what's up, though,
like
man.
it.
It's a beautiful
So
thing. It's kind of what you
yeah,
want, in life. So let's take it back to the essence. Let's go back to Cleveland. What side of Cleveland? East side, west side? You grew up on?
um, I would have to say, well, St. Clair, between St. Clair and then Cliffview.
Okay.
I spent, and then obviously my grandmother's, that was Superior, but I only really hung out with a couple of friends on the street and stuff like that. But where I kind of really got into trouble and things would have been more St. Clair. I was born and raised St. Clair, 115th, and then as when I was younger, I would always have my cousins. It's a family of 13, but there's a lot of boys in there. Those dudes were like, or they are still like brother figures.
Right.
I had a sister, but my older cousin and then the cousin that was like my age and under, we all was just very tight. So as I would go over there through the summer or after church because we all went to the same church. I basically grew up as well over on Cliffview by just being there all the years that they were there. And then as everybody grew up, it's like I knew everybody. So when I came, we got older, I started to be over there more,
Got you.
and then I, even with the music, like that was a very big thing for me because Cliffview, you would go to the park, and I just remember taking my little boom box I had, and people would talk about this. Like I would go to the hood, and not just that hood, but I would go to the hood and I would be playing my beats at the park. Everybody playing basketball and doing,
Wow.
maybe shooting craps or everything else. Yonni was worried about music, you know, and I'll be playing beats and trying to find people to just listen to my beats, and certain people like Skeet and Bird, they're like Cleveland legends, freaking. So that's Fear No Mob. You had Paycheck and Pratt, Brothers for the Struggle. Like all these dudes
Fire.
is people that I knew of, right?
Classic.
As just being young, obviously Bone, and I just, I ended up crossing paths with a couple of them because, 10th Ward was basically where they had the whole like Cliffview Mafia and Lake all the way from freaking Lakeshore, St. Clair, everybody kind of linked up, and
That's where I
then
live at right now. I'm
crazy,
literally a block off of Lakeshore.
crazy. So yeah,
Yeah.
so once I kind of got cool with Bird. Bird introduced me to Skeet, and Skeet stayed on St. Clair, even though Bird was on Cliffview. And then from there, it's like, oh, Paycheck, and I just kept meeting everybody, and then Joe Little, and next thing I know, I was at Travel at some point. I used to say you haven't really done enough in the game until if you haven't been to Travel before, back in the day, you wasn't doing it. You had to definitely, that was like a part of kind of a linear note of where you was going,
Hmm.
to be able to go to, because Levert Studios, especially in that time for the city, the whole Levert movement was huge. I mean, they had some of everybody coming through there. I seen a lot of stuff through there. Had Keith Sweat, they had Whitney, they had. I mean, so many people come to
Yo,
Cleveland to
I did
work with
not know
them.
that.
hmm
Like when I
And I
first
even
got
was,
here, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was blessed enough to go to the Hall of Fame when the OJs got inducted. That was huge. They had a lot of people. 112,
Man.
Keith Sweat, Tyrese. I mean, it was a lot of people. Avant, of course, was there. Kiki Wyatt. They actually performed. I think my first love, that record.
That's
But there was a lot
fire.
of people there. There was a lot of people, and that was history for Cleveland too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I was around that because I was an artist at that time too. I was actually Yonni the artist, and I just so happened to be producing my own stuff. But also, like I said, I wanted to work with other people. Um, having other people on my beats too. But yeah, when I went around that time, I was being like AB was like helping trying to manage me.
Mhm.
So I've seen a lot of stuff, man. It's
Man,
definitely cool for
I've been
history.
here about 25 years. And when I
Hmm.
first got here, I was a rapper. And the first person I met, like on my own, without like my family, was Dave Jeffries.
Oh, get out of here!
That was still my
Yeah,
guy to this day. And the first person he told me about was you.
crazy.
And how y'all, I don't know if y'all used to make beats together or he just knew of you, but you were the first person that he talked about musically, and it always stuck with me. And throughout my whole time here,
Hmm.
Yanni this, Yanni that, Yanni this, Yanni that. Was that the goal to be a legend just here, or was it the goal to be legendary worldwide?
One thing I tell people too, and you see this happen even today's time, but I would say at the time, well, I had big aspirations and stuff in general. I
Mm-hmm.
think even in school, when I did the same things, I was like, had my grandmother's boombox then. I would be coming down the hall and people would be playing, rapping and stuff to the beats that I would make, and then I got the attention of one of the teachers who held homeroom, so they
Mm-hmm.
would like kind of do that. So they was like, "Let me get some, I'm gonna play some of your beats, for the homeroom intro and outro." So I got popular with that. But I just knew I loved it. I think until I really went around that time where I went to this first studio
Mm-hmm.
and I recorded. It's a guy I met. He was a mailman, and I didn't know he had a studio. This is when I worked at McDonald's right there off by Cliffview and on Euclid. I met him, and I played around a little bit with him. He cussed me out and was like, "Don't book no more session with me unless you're really serious." So I really went and tried it. I loved it from from that point on. I knew that's what I really wanted to do. However, I didn't, I always knew I just wanted to be something.
Mm-hmm.
I think once I started to get, and this is where the point is, once I started to get some things happening, of course, at a point I started feeling like, yeah, I'm this and I'm that. I'm this in the city, I'm that, and whatever. And what happened was, once I started to get a shot where I left the city, and I remember going to Atlanta. Really, yeah, it was Atlanta for the first time. And I was around, I was out there working with, I went to work with Trey Songz at the time. But then I got cool with Tricky and Dream. So I went
Wow.
there and mind you, at this time still, I have my biggest record out at this time. So I might have just jumped it a little bit too much. But yeah, coming from the point where I'm at, I'm feeling like I'm this, I'm that. I'm was the hottest producer in the city. I did all these things. I produced over 200 albums independently. I had so many records on everybody. It's like, what else could I do in the city? Then produce for Lil Wayne. All that stuff had happened. Then finally get my big record, which was Say I, which was top 10 in the world. going crazy. You know what I'm saying? I had so much going for that record. I started meeting people. I
Mm-hmm.
started other things start opening up. So I'm in Atlanta. I go to see Tricky. He telling me, all the stuff. Woo, woo, woo. You this, you that, you next, whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
got to meet I even met Sierra like really quick passing through that particular day. She was working with a guy who is now my mentor,
Okay.
JQ Smith. But I remember two things: seeing Tricky's plaques in the hallway, and one of his plaques killed all of my little plaques. I thought.
I think somebody must be calling you.
Did you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it had went out for a second.
That was my alarm thing, I think, going
Oh,
off.
okay.
But yeah. So I remember it being in the hallway, and I saw Tricky's plaques, and one of his plaques was like 30 or 40 million or something. It had Rihanna, Beyonce, all these things. And I just remember being like, man, I ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? I came out traveling so, not arrogant, but feeling, I'm this, I'm that.
You
And you
feeling good
see,
about yourself?
you see somebody with a plaque, one of their plaques, not to mention it was way more, but it was just one of them. It's like, oh man, I ain't doing nothing, and then at that moment I start being like, wow, I think in Cleveland or wherever these inner cities are, people easily can become jaded with that and think, wherever you at, you
Yeah.
like, I'm this, I'm that, but it's like, man, it's such a high level of where people are doing it at, and globally at that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I even was a little irritated with JQ, and we just recently cracked jokes about this because I just did hosted a panel with him, and I was talking to his brother. His brother was another person that same night that Greg was managing and stuff, and we were really cool now. But they both kind of like, I felt like they dissed me. Um,
Why you say
and
that?
well, so we're working with this artist named Tamil. Tamil's still actually out in the industry doing her thing. That Tricky signed. It's me, a girl named Nia, who is a crazy writer, who I basically had a writing team. The other
Mm-hmm.
girl, you may know her as Jay Nova. Jay Nova has made a name for herself as Jay Nova today, but to me, and to a lot of us that know her, we always call her Lindsay Fields. Well, actually, Linz. So me and Linz, around the time that I was on the come up, so was she. I was taking her with me.
Okay.
I we did a lot of work together, so a lot of placements and everything, and we both from Cleveland, so it's neat. So anyway, their team was called the Pinup Dolls, and so we was working with Tamil. JQ comes in. Now we know who JQ is because he's from the Clutch. Clutch has written many hit records for Sierra, Beyonce, Madonna, Britney. Everybody, right? Omarion, they did Omarion Icebox. So many things.
Jesus Christ.
So we know who he is, but again, at this time, I'm feeling like, yeah, I'm getting my own name for myself. And he came in and he was just like, this record, what y'all did was cool, but y'all got to change it up. And I'm thinking like, who is this nigga think he is? This is like we crack jokes about this all the time. I'm upset because I feel like I'm woo, 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 And it's funny because years back, we had a moment like that too. It was an artist that I was working with, and he really rocked with the artist. He actually had kind of maneuvered and took the music into the label and all that too. So we having it wasn't like a bad, he wasn't dissing us or nothing like that. In fact, he was the one that was like, he had kind of sparked the labels and all these different things, to even kind of have this conversation. We only had 2.5 songs, and we end up at Universal. You see what I'm saying? And then at 12 midnight, Atlantic is coming to see us.
Wow.
We like, what the hell? So anyway, because I know he probably felt vested too, right? At this point, like, well, or just because we would ask him for his advice. So basically, what he was saying is, man, I know y'all got these other songs, but this the one. And I took it as an offense, like, so you trying to say we ain't got no other hit records and da da da. So I was going off, and he was just laughing at me. I was so mad at him, and he was just laughing like, man, you need to calm down. And I was just, so that's just what it was. But I just remember those things happening where it also humbled me at that time to be like, yo, it's people really doing this on a high level. You know what I'm saying? You may have a record or two out, but you always got to stay humble, And I see a lot of people like that now today. They may get one thing and I think it's a little bit worse now, you know what I'm saying? Because some people don't have any regard for like legendary people who came before them or, just kind of latching on to a mentor or how many ever you have and really learning from them.
You don't need the machine as much as you did, let's say 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Like you can sit in your basement and make a hit and make another hit if you good
Right.
enough without any interference per se or assistance. So I
Yeah.
think that gives people a false sense of security because for you to maintain it and have 20, 30 years in the game, you definitely got to build relationships, and I don't care what year it is.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
what was a low point for you?
Low point. Um, hmm. What would be a low point? Uh, I think just when I think of something like that, or I like to say regrets or things that I learned from, I think
Mm-hmm.
my biggest thing that I would have liked to have done differently um, would be money and saving money and doing right by your money better. Because
Okay.
a lot of times um, when we get that break, of course, what do we do? And it sucks as even black people, we do this because I think it's part of that you want to be happy. You want to have things. You do aspire to have things. Like I bought my dream car. At the time I was married, I bought my wife the car that she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was great. I came in there like Birdman. The lot, bought mine, bought hers. You see what I'm saying? I had some brown bags and everything. Only thing I didn't do was I didn't do that when I dropped it. But I'm just saying, spending 60, almost 70K in a day, that's, it feels great. It's like, even it was the weekend, and I remember they was telling us, yo, you know, we'll hang around for you because they close early on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we was like, no, we want it now. Like, we didn't want to wait. But my point, even to the timing of waiting, is just saying, and this, I realized this, it didn't take me years to realize that, but I was like, wow, if we would have even waited just that next week, set up accounts just for the money to be withdrawn out of,
Yeah.
made our payments out of that, financed it, it would have did a world
It
of
would have paid
heaps
for
for,
itself.
but it would also build our credit up.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You think we think, oh, you big shot, you doing this stuff, and you don't realize that actually hurted us. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
things like that, or just, oh man, money ain't gonna never slow up. It's this, that. So I buy any and everything I want when I want it. Because when it does slow up, because royalties do slow up, then now you like, you know what I'm saying? And so I would have to say that's my biggest thing, that I promised myself that I would do better. And I always tell people that is the number one thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know, when I see new people getting deals, my friends and stuff like that, I just encourage them to do right by their money, because that's something I learned from.
Yeah. When you like get a call or something, it goes
people
out.
along the way. Huh?
Like when you get a telephone call, the audio goes out,
Yeah. Let me
or
see if
like
I
your
can put
alarm
it on.
goes off.
Hold on. See if I can put it on a thing here. Hold on. I don't know why it's doing that.
Oh, that's normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it does that for everybody. So
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know that's like a flaw they really need to fix, especially given
Right.
technology of today.
Yeah.
But hey, who am I? I'm just the old guy that uses it.
Right.
So you've
Okay.
done what, like 50 plus songs with Wayne?
Uh,
Not that have
maybe.
been released, but that he's just actually
Right.
done. Were any of them
Yeah.
in
I
the
mean,
studio?
definitely. Was I ever in the studio with him? Nope, not one time.
Wow.
Um, a lot of those did get released as leaks,
Uh-huh.
and mixtapes. But it's still a lot of them that we did. I mean, when I first met him, I think when they would call me, they would say like I would send him like at that time, that was my beginning time. So I had a lot of beats on deck and just stacked up and ready.
Right.
And I probably had about 400 beats, and I was sending him like 10, 12 at a time, and then they would be hitting me. They'd be like, yo, okay, Wayne needs more beats. And I'd be like, I just gave him 10, 12 last night. They'd be like, oh, yeah, he did 5 of those, but he want more. I'm like, damn. It got to the point where I didn't have just enough new ones. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, that's how Mo Fire happened, because during the Carter 2, he was doing so many joints. And what happened was, the last 2 records that he had done at that time is what he ended up keeping.
Mm-hmm.
So Mo Fire though was a beat that I had made in freaking. I made Mo Fire because Lil Wayne album came out 2005, but I made this beat in like '99.
Oh
So
shit.
I had an old beat that I made. And I again, I'm like scavenging hunting for my beats to, give them a nice amount of it. I'm like, oh shoot, let me go through archives. So I was like, oh yeah, dang, because he was in a phase where he loved like samples and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, cool. So I basically, I heard that beat again, and I sent it over. I didn't know for sure if he was gonna do that. But yeah, matter of fact, once I found out that he was using that, because they kept saying Mo Fire, but I never heard the song. They was like, yeah, you got that Mo Fire is going on the album for sure. I'm like, I don't know what Mo Fire is. I never
Mm-hmm.
heard it. So one time, I guess when he called me personally when he was in the studio, and that's when I realized what beat it was. And he was, because at that time, which is one of my disappointing moments after that, but I remember that moment. The moment itself was dope because I realized it was him,
Mm-hmm.
and then he said, "Yo," he was like, "Mo Fire is my single," because at that time it's supposed to have been the single. He wanted it to be his first single, but Birdman forced him and wanted him to do Fireman. If y'all know, Fireman is the record they came out with first.
Okay.
Wayne believed in that song so much that he had an opportunity to do Yahoo Music. They did these, where it was like a cartoon video, and they
Mm-hmm.
did it with 3 artists. I think it was Limp Bizkit, him, and another artist. They picked like a rapper, a rock band, and a female pop rock artist or something.
Okay.
So he was like, oh, perfect, because he still believed in that record. So he's like, I'm doing it to Mo Fire because he couldn't get the first single. So anyway, he's like, yeah, man. He said, Mo Fire is my single, Pimp Juice. And I'm like, what is, I don't know what that is. And he started going, oh, oh, oh. Ooh. So he's singing it. So at that, I was like, oh, that beat. So that's when I knew what beat it was. and he was rapping a little bit of it. But when he did that part, I was like, oh, okay. So I was all excited, like, wow, I got the single. And then, they didn't use it as a single, but I do recall that. And the reason I'm pointing that out is just to say that was an old beat. That was a beat that, and then Oh No was another one that made the album. And that was a joint that Matlock had produced and started. And me and Matlock was doing so much together at that time. I mean, me and him would go to the library every other day, and we had little 45 players.
Like literally
Especially
the library.
At that time, yeah, we go to the library and get some records.
Wow.
We would go and sample them into the MPC. That was like a new fun thing to do at the time, especially like I said, because Wayne was in that place.
Right.
And he loved that. And obviously you had Dipset out. You had these different people who was doing that, right? And so we would just go and just save a whole bunch of stuff on the floppy. But he had made Oh No, he started that beat, and then I was like, yo, this is perfect for him. And then I remember, I don't remember how, I might have did like a sound or something, but I know I kind of organized it, and then I sent it over. And then, yeah, those are the two that made it, and they were at towards the end of the album. Like I said, a lot of the other records ended up coming out later over time. And then we had the Madden joint. The Madden joint was another one of my favorites. And then later we had done Burn This City, and he put Twist on there. And it got leaked too soon, so it ended up going on this, because he was putting out those mixtapes, but it was supposed to have been on Carter 3. But I remember sending it, before I sent it to them, I told them that he was going. It's one of them. I feel like producers had those moments like where you saw Fade to Black and stuff, where they like, oh no, I know he gonna, when I press play. You know what I'm saying?
It
was that. It was that moment. It was definitely that. I called them. I said, look, when you hear this, you going in the booth. You know what I'm saying? I knew it off top. In fact, I think I told him, because I think when I first came in with Wayne, I was selling beats for like $1,500 to $2,000, right? And
which is
at
a good
that
look.
time, well, yeah, at that time it was, because even some people was like, you could have got more for that, But it is true, the way that you start something is kind of how it is. You do, have chances to evolve. Obviously, it have to be different things that happen and level up action or whatever. But I do remember that was my first check I got from him. I didn't even have a bank account. I cashed my joint at ABC Check Cashing out there across from Guitar Center on Mayfield, man. I took a picture.
I actually got my mic from that Guitar Center.
Right across the street, they had it, and I took it there because I didn't have a bank account. I didn't even have, I was crazy. Like very much on the struggle. But I wish I could find that picture. But I took a picture holding it and smiling so big, because that's the most I ever made off of a beat at that time. I mean, selling beats in Cleveland was like a couple $100,
Yeah.
And that was on the high end.
Man.
So I remember with that particular track, I told them when, before I sent this, I said, I'm going to need at least $7,500 for this. I told them, I was like, this is that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and, obviously I was doing other stuff, but I was saying the quality of the record already, I said, yeah, y'all going to have to, it's cool, but y'all going to have to pay me for this one.
You should.
Yeah.
And you had kind of built up that equity with them. Like they know you shit already. So yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that one. Shit, I probably would have been like 10.
Yeah. And it's so different now, man. It's like even the budgets and stuff as the years have went on, these budgets have shrunk down a lot. And in fact, unless it's an A artist, it's really, sometimes the labels are coming to you with 5K, and 7,500, really pretty much.
You
Yeah,
shit
it's just
me.
it's very low. Yeah, it's very low from what it used to be. Um, yeah, it is.
But do you get more money on the back end because of the streaming?
Ah, I mean, I guess it's all relative to how good the song does.
Okay, I
But to
got you.
me, the streaming ain't really, that's what everybody's been fighting for in these boards and all this stuff for the last few years.
Yeah.
Um, is to get these royalty rates up because I remember I produced it was Lolly, which is Major Ali, Justin Bieber, and Juicy J, and I seen one of my BMI statements, and I think it was like for streaming it was probably like, I mean, that record to this day is probably got like almost a billion streams, something like that, half a billion streams. But I think at that time it was up there, like 10 million or so. And I
Jeez.
think I had like $100 or something, for yeah. It wasn't it wasn't like that, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, radio has always been very lucrative,
Man, I've gotten
and you
more
can't
than
really
that
tame the
off of
royalties in
YouTube.
radio. Yeah.
And I'm not even close to a million.
Hmm.
Like, that don't sound right, bro.
Yep. That was
Yeah.
my percentage of it. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, I got you. What you saying? So,
Hmm.
as far
I
as
think
in
I have
studio,
20% of that particular record, but yeah,
yeah,
that
you
was
should have got more than that.
yeah.
$100. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. As far as
Yeah.
in studio recording, who did you enjoy working with the most?
Uh, my best experience with an artist in the studio probably still got to be Missy, just because, um, just the level of how she pushed me.
Mm.
Usually when I would go there and I would come back almost like a different person. Um, and yeah, man, it's like
You're the second person I've heard say that about her too.
it's
Like,
nonstop. It's nonstop. That joint is crazy. You know, yeah, I was definitely overwhelmed because, and the crazy part is, I was barely getting sleep. I would work with her almost like 12, 14, 16 hours. I might have got there early in the afternoon and I would be leaving at like maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3. And then another time I just stayed at her crib, but do it all over again. So once we were done, I still would go back. It's like homework.
mm-hmm.
If I was at the hotel, I'll just be up still going through more sounds, literally dozing off till I just pass out. I was trying to figure out the next stuff. Wake up, get breakfast, and I'm right there doing it again. I try to come there with at least 10, new ones,
Mm-hmm.
that she want to hear everything. And then she'll pick whatever. She'll be like, okay, uh, okay, these I want, okay, put these to the side. Okay, what else you got? She just kept saying, what else you got? I'm like, what else I got, nigga? Now, the session ain't started yet. That session ain't started. Now, after we got through those, in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. She about to get on the mic. She about to work on these for the day. Nah. She like, okay, cool. I'll mess with them later. Okay, now she want me. Now it's from scratch time. So
Oh.
I spent hours doing that, and then after a little bit, she'll switch it. We'll switch the vibe into something else. Okay, what else next? You see what I'm saying? So I did a whole week or so of that every day. Now the
Uh-huh.
other thing is, I was also calling on other producers too to send me stuff and ideas and everything. I had all that stuff going too. So I'm playing my stuff. I'm playing other people's stuff. I got stuff that people started that I've been working on. I was like literally a machine. By the time of the last day, really the last 2 days, but definitely the last day, I told her, I said, I ain't got nothing else right now, you know. I just don't, I don't, you know. I'm like, I don't have nothing else for you. And she was cracking jokes because she was like, she said, I'm trying to literally squeeze every juice or whatever she could get out of me before I left, you know, because she knew in her mind she was about to really go to work. Now, here's the thing. Missy doesn't record in front of anybody. Matter of fact, a fun fact, Timbaland has never, ever seen her record.
I
Nobody.
completely understand that.
Except for one engineer that she always used. Primarily at the house, too. She have it set up to where her mic is right there in the front. She have a booth for which she records artists, but Missy records herself. And she used to, I remember she told us, she would always tell us the story about when she did the Gina Thompson record. And Diddy was like, hey, you know, when she did her verse, that was the first time the world seen Missy on that record. And she was in the car, Rodney Jerkins and stuff, that video. Now, she basically told Diddy that he had to leave. Now, at that time, Diddy is, you know, Missy's not Missy, you know. But he's like, who is this telling me I got to leave? But he left out, you know. She said, everybody got to leave, you know. So one time I actually called her. This was probably like the second day. And she had been working on one of the tracks that I did. So her assistant let me in the house. And I'm coming up. She didn't know I was coming up. I came in the door and I could hear it. I should have just stayed outside the door because I was all smiling because I could hear it. As soon as I opened the door, she looked and saw me. She cut everything off. You know how you was doing something wrong. Your parents come in. She stopped it. She's like, yeah, yep, close it down, everything. I said, damn. I said, I want to hear it. She said, nah, it's not ready. You know. But yeah, she don't play about that. She do not play, you know. But yeah, like she definitely, and even just the comfortability to work with her was like one particular time she just, you know, her mind is like she was on the mic, she was just in her element, and it was a decision where I could have went two different ways. You know, she's on the mic like, oh, what's up, everybody? Literally, no. You know when they say the meme, like nobody? They say me. Right. Nobody there. She like, oh my God, this is crazy. We got Yonni here today. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm like, nigga, it's me and you. You know? She got, she hitting it. It's like, I'm like, what is happening, you know? And so I was like, wow, this is definitely different and uncomfortable. But I said, okay, but I have two things to either basically sit here and be shut down, or I could try to see what happens if I basically dive into this, if I engage with her on this, right? So I did. You know, she would, as I was doing things, I play a sound. She was like, oh, we going to Cuba, because it'll be like a percussion sound, and then I start messing with it. That's the most I ever can say I saw her. Like, she recorded all of that. We probably did that for like 30 minutes, man. She was just rapping, freestyling to stuff. And then I'll switch it, then I'll do something else. But it felt cool to, and it's I know some people like that, even on relationships, that you have to, they want to be free. You have a choice where you could be like, this made me feel, and then they'll probably shut down and be like, oh man, you know, I just want you to kind of have fun with me, right? Because it is people that's just free spirit like that, just as a person. Yeah. So it was one of those moments of growth too, where I was just like, okay, you know, you can grow from this, and that's a story now that I can tell, you know, forever. Now, had I been like, then she'd probably stopped it and be like, well, just play some. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That would have changed the whole tenor, the whole tempo.
Not even the story to tell, but even my own experience, to have experienced that. Yeah. That's something that I can remember for the rest of my life, you know. And we did that for a while. that was probably one of the best things about it. But again, those whole experiences, when I came back, yeah, I was on people's ass. Like my ear was just in a different space. They be like, I'd be like, no, I want to we gotta do this. We gotta make some real music stuff. They like, okay, like, and that's like Timberland would tell me. Timberland would be like, look, man, he was like, I see over here in your space, you like the sharpest iron, and that's great. I think that's great. You're a young master. You always call me a young him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you like my son. He love to say that. But he was saying that I want to sharpen your iron more, because he was basically saying that you shouldn't be the sharpest iron in the room, so you can continue to grow. If you always the sharpest iron, or you can't really learn no more, you're not
You
really
get
set
dull
to
at some
grow.
point.
Yeah, so he was like, for him, that was what he saw that he wanted to do with me. Like, I would literally be making beats, and he might have called, and he'd be like, what's that? Ooh, hold on. What if you try to snare like this and this and that? And I'd be like, how you even hear that? You know what I'm saying? But it was different. And I was like, yo, this dude is weird, for real. Like, but I appreciated that too, because it gave me a different way to look at stuff, and different patterns and stuff like that.
Let me
So it
ask you this.
definitely,
Do you ever just sit up and just go, let's say through YouTube or SoundCloud, and just listen for the next wave of producers?
no, no, but not like that. But I don't even be on SoundCloud stuff like that, or in general like that. But I do like coming across certain things. Like, I will say, just naturally, it happens like that with artists.
Uh-huh.
I may see it. I'll be like, oh, this artist dope, I think it's also cool because I do mixes and stuff for artists. And a lot of times I get independent artist stuff. And the crazy part is I don't hear what the stuff sound like all the time before I open it.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a surprise. Now, when I get some stuff that's really dope, I'll be like, yo, who did this? You know what I'm saying? That's a good feeling. But I'm very usually, because I'm such a people person, and once I get cool with people, I really like go out my way. That's just my natural being. So
Okay.
normally I don't really go out my way naturally.
Okay.
So when people they be like this and that, I'll be kind of like, even artists, overall, I'll be like, I think one of the producers is actually in here now, KT, that was chatting
Yeah, I
on the
see him.
chat box. Now, crazy thing about him is he was recommended from another one of my legendary mentors that I look up to. I forgot. I'm trying to remember, how did I get? Oh yes, one of Manny Haley, not Manny. Manny Edwards. Manny Haley is Keisha Cole and all of that, and he's doing movies now. But Manny
You
Edwards.
just dropping all these names. I have no clue, bro. I'm
But
just a
man,
regular old Joe.
okay. I feel like Jay-Z, when he be saying all these names, you be like, who? But no, like Manny Edwards. At the time, Manny worked at he had worked at like Universal for a while, and we were cool then. But then he ended up working for my publishing company
Mm-hmm.
that I was signed to, and so we basically full circle moment. Now, one day he hit me and he said, "Yo, he was really cool with MC Light." It's like, "Yo,
MC
MC
Light.
Light trying to work or whatever," and he's like, she asked me about new producers, and I told her you, because he was representing, all the people that were signed to the company at the
Mm-hmm.
time. So I was like, shoot, of course, So anyway, got to work with MC Light. We did a couple joints, and then from there, me and Light just built a very cool relationship. I call her auntie, as I call Missy auntie. They both actually hate it. Because I know they probably feel old as hell when I say it. But MC Light really hate it. She be like, I think one time I recently put that on the comments in one of her posts. She said, nigga, did I tell you? And people were cracking up. She's like, I'm not your auntie. I'm your big sister. She hated it, though. But anyway, but that's how I felt like that mentorship-wise. I felt like they are over me with that. So to me, they're like my aunties. You know, I'm using aunts in this
I got
thing,
you.
you know. And so, but anyway, after having such a good, rapport with her, she was telling me, she said, I have this producer and he's a young cat and he's super dope. And like she basically, that was her. She mentored him, and he had been around her since he was younger, and he's done a lot of things with her and for her, from production, BTS, helping with movies, film, the studio, run the studio, engineering, producing. I mean, the whole nine. Now, at this time, I still was very closed off because I be just protecting myself because, again, I know how I am when I get cool and I open up.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, okay. And then she would follow up. And she's like, man, look, just meet him, And, of course, I was going to do it because it came through her.
Right.
And that's somebody I value. He came through a few times, and then me and him just hit it off, And then once I heard his beats, I was like, oh, wow, this dude. And then he's just a great dude, he's a great guy. And I see why they rock, and how she took him in. Like, just over the years, he's helped me in so many aspects the same way.
Okay.
Even if I need him to engineer, or I remember my birthday party, he was one of the people to step in and help me. He even ran one of the little tables for me. I did like a casino thing for, so it was just, and she was like, I told you it's going to like him, But I say that to say that, sometimes things take time. Even a couple of dudes out here too, my Ray Keys, and it took a while for that. Like Ray Keys would just come around, and then one day your spirit just like, let me try him out, and then we just click, and then it's like cool from there. But and again, that's with artists too. I gotta feel it out first, and believe it or not, Missy is the same way. I remember it took a while before I could come to the house, and I was in Atlanta one of the times. And shout out to Phobia. She's one of the she's a female producer that has been in the game for a long time. Actually, was crazy. A historic moment with Phobia. She was one of the people in the car where an accident happened with Left Eye. Her and Left Eye was very close friends. Like that's how connected she is in the industry.
Wow.
But Phobia is a very funny, like, I remember Jay Nova had been working with Missy from back in the day too, and that was a full circle moment because she was like, yo, she was also out there talking about me, yo, my producer is Yonni. She's like, well, I heard that name, I get beats from him, right? So she was also telling me, you and Phobia gotta hook up. So when I went to Atlanta, I met with Phobia, and literally we're having lunch. Phobia's like, hold on a second. Now, mind you, I hadn't talked to Missy other than through emailing, through people and stuff like that. And I never had talked to her on the phone. So I met her one time with Trina. That's just a backwards moment. Very first time ever. Trina's birthday party in 2005.
You talking about the Trina, right?
Yeah, the Trina.
Just clarifying so my people will know.
Yeah, Trina the baddest. So basically, I hadn't really hooked up with Missy at all, just through sending things through people. And in fact, when I met her before with Trina, she gave me the wrong number. I was so heartbroken, I was hurt. But it just shows that things, you just got to keep going through all of that. So anyway, Phobia picks up the phone. She's called. I don't know who she's talking to. She like, yeah, I get Yonni here. I got Yonni here with me. He in town, whatever. He's working with Trey Songz, but he here for another couple of days. And whoop whoop. She get off the phone. This dude says, yeah. So she said, Miss said, bring you by tomorrow. I said, Miss who? She said, Missy. She said, bring you by the crib tomorrow. I said, okay. Man, it got to that day. I remember getting out the truck. I was still on the passenger side. I was like shaking and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I was shaking. She like, Yonni, where you at? Come on up. Like, come on, you know. I literally with my legs and, you know, because I was so nervous. And one thing I noticed about Missy at that time too, and I'll get off to Missy stories, was when I first met her, I was obviously nervous. When the doors opened, I felt like it was like MTV Cribs, where she just opened up, was like, yo, just so she felt so welcoming. I felt like a lot of my nervousness left. But what I thought was dope, she's like a damn elephant, because you know how when you sending stuff to somebody or a message getting relayed, sometimes you think the message ain't getting relayed right, or especially if it's products or something. So
Exactly.
my beats, so-called, I'm sending through people. I'm like, I'm gonna play these beats that people said she liked or whatever they played for her. I'm gonna play it anyway, cause she, just in case she knew every single beat that she did here. So I heard this. She pulled it up, literally in front of me. Yeah, I got this beat. Look, it's right here. I did something to that beat. I was like, she knew, and that had been years. But her memory on
That's
music,
crazy.
like you can't get nothing past her. You know what I'm saying? So I always remembered that. I was like, yo, she like a damn elephant for real. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that was when I actually got to like be able to meet her, and it took a lot to get to that point, you know.
Yo, and I know I ain't gonna take up too much of your time, but Chris Brown, how did you? And at this point, does it even surprise you that so and so reaches out and says, "I need one of your beats," or are you still
Um,
sending out like beat tapes?
Not really. I mean, the beat CD and stuff. Obviously, we don't even have CDs no more. But people, even another Missy thing. Missy is a person that years back she stopped using their email as much because people get spammed and stuff so much that once
Yeah.
the iMessage thing really start cracking, you can send all that stuff right in there. A lot of people like, just send it to me, you know, just send that joint to me and directly. So it's a little bit different with that. Um, but the Chris thing was huge for me because it was definitely a bucket list moment. I had other records with Chris that didn't make it, that didn't make the cut. And in fact, the beat to the Closure record on the new Breezy album, that was supposed to have been on Indigo as a whole nother song.
Oh wow.
So it shows me though that beat was meant for him.
Okay.
But yeah, it definitely was a buck. I mean, I've had 4 records that he's done that just didn't make the cut. And this record kind of just happened. Honestly, well, once I got out here, I started to just be kind of a people think I can, you know, I move records pretty good, you know, when I'm in that zone. But a lot of my records happen, and even some of my bigger ones, they all happen the same way. They just kind of happen, you
Okay.
know. So I always go back to Tricky told me this once. He said, don't focus on who you giving a track to, what artist or whatever. Just focus on making the best record. It will always, he said, a great record will always find a home. Period. And I always remember that. And so, yeah, going back to that, it's not my view on that. Even when I would get placements, you know, because you would do records for someone, and then it end up on somebody else. You know, it's
Really?
like, yeah.
They can do that?
Well, what I mean by that is you'll make a record for, like, let me think of something here. Well, what can I use here?
And while you think of that, I want to say shout out to KT, man. And I'm not sure who Monsi is, but shout out to you too.
Oh, I don't even see Monse.
Monse is
I can't
Monse,
see.
yeah, they there.
Monse is a photographer. He is a content creator. He is a director. He does a lot of stuff out here in Cali,
Mm-hmm.
and on a lot of artists. We've worked on a lot of projects together, and I mean, people want photo shoots, all that, the whole nine. Like, he does all that stuff.
Shout
He's
out to you,
someone I
Monse.
met. He also does artwork, graphics, all that stuff, man. So
Yeah, I can't afford you, bro. However, when I get to that space, I'm hollering at you.
that is funny, man. But yeah, I'm trying to think of because it's records that okay, ooh, perfect. I did I was doing a records for Victor Oladipo. I'm over here charging my car. So but yeah, I did records for Victor Oladipo, and basically Victor Oladipo was doing his project, and
Wait a minute, does he rap
um
or something?
yeah, he sings.
Really? I did
So
not know that.
so he's put out a project and everything. So Victor Oladipo, I was doing records with I had writers coming in to
Mm-hmm.
do that, and we did a few records. Now the record we did, one of them ended up on Jacquees. You know, another one ended up as Jeremiah Wale.
Really?
So yeah, it's just what happens sometimes. But I remember being back in Cleveland, and every time I made a beat, I recently told somebody this. I always had a appreciation of the unknown. You know, it always would intrigue me. I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who is this beat gonna go to? You know, I'm like, I know it's gonna land somewhere, but who, I don't know. You know, I had several people do a record too. The one record that ended up on Fergie's album, and I actually did that with JP.
Mm-hmm.
Did this one, who's from Cleveland. You might know him as Earl St. Clair too. But JP, me and him one day was working, and shout out to Donut because me and Donut was sitting with some guy from. He was from. I don't know if he was from Arabia or something, but he basically was with one of our friends and came in with this. He was like, "You guys should sample this." He played this sample, man, and I was playing it all cool. And Donut already knew. He was just kind of like, "Yo, this." I already knew. I could hear the beat done. I
Mm-hmm.
could hear the certain part of the
Oh,
sample.
so he brought some shit with him.
Well, he was just he went to YouTube and he was just like, "Ooh, y'all should sample things like this."
Okay.
Man, we went. So they didn't even get out the studio down the hall all the way. I went back and pulled it up, put it in there. We have so many people do that. Eric Bellinger, Busta Rhymes, all kind of stuff. But it ended up on Fergie. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's just the testimony to me and just proof to show to me. I feel like things find a home, and the record lies where the record's supposed to lie. You know, you can't force anything. You know, all you can do is make a great record. And a lot of times, because of the fact, like say Beyonce or whoever, people who make songs that sound like Beyonce, or if you're working on Rihanna or you're working with
Yeah.
Trey, they don't write records that sound like them.
Yeah.
They don't want. They already sound like themselves. So when people mess up when they try to mimic them. They're like, I already done this. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times they like stuff that's a little different.
Yeah.
Um,
They're not trying to
so
repeat the last album.
yeah, that's just some advice for people out there because I've learned that too. Like, you know, people just want a great record, you know. Think
So
about
you
Rihanna's
use
Umbrella. Umbrella at the time sounded like nothing that she had ever done from that time. You know what I'm saying?
Can't
I don't
point that.
sound
Yeah.
Monday Replay. That don't sound like
No.
I don't want to be a murderer. That don't sound like, you know
No.
what I'm saying? It don't sound like none of that stuff.
I would have
So
missed the boat on her too. Like if I was a record executive and she walked in, I would have missed the boat on her.
yeah,
I just would have. Like it's some people that you hear and I'm like, yeah, I know I would have signed that person if I was an executive. I probably would have passed on
right.
Rihanna and I would have been completely wrong. She makes
But that,
dope
you know,
fucking music, but she doesn't. It doesn't seem like she sounds good singing in front of you. Like it's not. I won't say she sounds bad. It doesn't. She's
yeah,
not Jennifer Holiday or Whitney Houston.
uh,
But now
yeah,
it's like Rihanna sound. You know what I'm saying? She was so
and
unique.
she's just a rock star, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you. I thought she's
She's
beyond the
like a
rock
rock
star.
star, but hmm I mean, she had more hit records than a lot of people. You know, she's broken mad records
She's a
for the most
billionaire.
number ones and stuff like that. You know,
Man.
now she ain't even stressing music. They trying to every time I turn around, it's a Rihanna camp out here going on, or they back on the project. But Rihanna, I think she making so much money. She don't, it's like, and she's so focused with doing the Fenty stuff right now. I don't think
Yeah.
she also pregnant. So it's like it's so much other stuff going on. I don't think
Wait. She
she have.
pregnant again?
No, she just where they recently had
Oh,
revealed
okay.
that this year. But I'm just saying, she's a mother. Soon to be mother. It's a lot going on. But I'm just saying, I don't think she really even stressed on dropping music.
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
when
think she
you have
cares.
dropped something classic or so many classics, I was mentioning this to somebody the other day. It's almost better to stall people out when you almost like Mayweather. It's like your impeccable record, you can
Mm-hmm.
keep it. If you slip
Yeah.
up, you just ruined your record for no reason.
And
It's
that's all
like,
people are gonna talk about for the next decade.
yeah, it's almost like you'd have been better off just making people just still play and bump your last classic than to come out and put something half ass, and then they'll be like, man, if she could have kept that. It's almost like a person saying, damn, I shouldn't have wasted that body on this guy or this girl. You know what I'm saying? It is, because it doesn't mean anything. They not gonna play it. You
Yeah.
wasted that energy.
Facts.
You know.
All right,
And
one
so,
more. Can
yeah.
we get a? Are we ever going to hear a Yonni and Jay-Z record? I think
Oh
that would just
man.
be perfect.
Shoot. I would have to say, I would hope so. You know, I would definitely hope so. It would be cool for the for all the Sagittarians out here.
Do you
You know.
actively recruit like somebody like that? Do you go out your way and say, "Hey, let me get my people to send his people some shit"?
Well, yeah, but I've also been asked to send stuff over before. I just think the timing and stuff or whatever might not line up. And here's the thing: who knows? He might have did something to one of those and just never came out. It's a lot of records that you'll see once think about the ones that I do know about that I found out about, right?
Right.
But then just the same breath, it's a lot of records that probably a lot of producers or writers don't even know that somebody pulled up their beat. I mean, I work with a lot of artists now. Like, people send me tracks
Mm-hmm.
for artists, and I press play. They may go in the booth, they may do something to it, and they may forget about it or sit on it or whatever the case be. But my point is, this person may not, if it doesn't materialize yet,
Right.
or even if it didn't, you would never even know they did that. You know.
Yeah, I got you.
So, who knows? But I have been, I've got asked to send stuff for him before. My other bucket list, which is probably one of the top ones, is Beyonce, and she's probably close to Chris because I've had about 3 records that she's done that I know
Really?
of. Yeah, that haven't made the cut.
But
Almost
do
every
you have them
Beyonce
though?
album no, I wish I would actually be cool with that. If I just had them and I could listen to them whatever, I wouldn't care if they came out. You know what
So
I'm
you
saying?
mean they don't even send them to you just out of a courtesy and say,
No,
hey?
no. In fact, really nowadays too, like if you get to work with B, you have to do NDA and stuff like that. You can't even really be talking about it.
Wow.
That's not
I mean, I
something you can
understand
do.
that part, but at least if you got an NDA, send me the shit so I can at least, I
Nah,
guess the thought is that somebody may break into your crib or somebody
uh-huh.
that ain't got the NDA may leak this shit. Like I get it,
Yep.
but damn, I still want to. If I did beyond, come on, let me at least come to the house and listen.
Right. But some of the people be actually they'll leak their own stuff just for, clout and things like that.
I can see that. Yeah, yeah, it makes sense in
So
some cases, and they do that shit to be petty towards the studio. Like it's a plethora of reasons I can get. And shout out, I guess you got somebody else in here too. J Rock, is it J Rock or G Rock? I'm not
J-Rock.
sure.
Yep.
J Rock. Yeah, he look like it's J Rock. Get it right, nigga. My bad. Yo, this has been a complete honor, bro. This has been a privilege. And I also noticed, like, you don't do all that many interviews, man. So I feel special and shit. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of interviews in a while, man, honestly.
The last one I saw, the most recent one I was able to pull up was 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's where I got that little clip from the Ohio Hip Hop Awards. I want to say that was 06.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. So and I didn't have. I usually that's why I try to do them like a week in advance so I can kind of like really dig into the person and find every little nugget that I can. But yo, bruh, you've lived a fucking phenomenal ass life, man, and you are absolutely at the peak, the pinnacle of Cleveland for sure. Let alone the industry itself. Like people may not know Yonni, but they know Yanni's work.
Yeah, thank you,
And
man.
nigga, thank you. That's fucking dope, bro. Like at some point, you gotta look in the mirror and be like, man, I did this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot you got the car that drives itself. I forgot about that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Us poor people have to drive our, so I have to actually navigate this shit.
I be forgetting a lot of time. People be reminded, because I be looking trying to grab something. They be like, "Dude, don't you know you can
Yeah, I see one video. You was just like, I'm like, my man's gonna crash, and there was somebody in the comments was like, "Oh, you're showing off with your car driving itself again." Oh, okay. That's it. I'm not in that
Tesla
tax bracket.
was one of my dream. It was one of my dream cars for sure. It was another one.
You deserve it, bro.
Thank
Yo,
you.
and if there's, I don't know if there's ever possibly anything I can do for you, but if there is, man, please don't hesitate, man. You got my number. Reach out and let me know.
For sure, man.
For
sure,
thank
for
you.
sure.
And before I go, if nobody has told you today, man, I'm proud of you, bro.
Thank you.
No doubt, man. And shout out to everybody that tapped in. I'll post a clip. And do me a favor, share the clip. Y'all have a good one, man.
For sure.
Oh, no
All
doubt,
right,
man. On that note, man, peace, man. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Yeah.
And I'm listening for the Jay-Z one.
All
And
right,
Beyonce,
thank
you out there. Come on, man. Let us hear one of
Right.
them fucking songs. Please.
Right.
All right, man. Have a good one. We out.
All right, man. Yep.
Yo, that's fucking, yo. Look, what you do gets you on the show, but it's your story that makes you stand out, man. Yanni's fucking phenomenal and humble as they come and has an even better story, man. So shout out to him, man. And I beg of you, Beyonce. Come on, man. It's 3 songs. One. Just let us hear one. Come on. Anyway, on that note, I'm out of here, man. Oh, and don't forget at 7 o'clock tonight, I got Michael J. Payton, the director of the Murder Inc. documentary that is currently playing on BET every Tuesday, I guess, for the next 5 weeks. The first episode was Off the Hook, and the whole world is talking about Irv Gotti. So we're going to tap into that tonight at 7 p.m. Shout out to the Nerve DJs. We'll be on nervedjsradio.com at 7 p.m. Shout out to DJ Johnny O, Shiny Shine, Big Hef, the whole team. Peace out. Y'all have a good one.